Hey, welcome back to the Industry Insight podcast. Today we're going to be talking to Daniel Gambel. He has started an app called MetaDock. So, Daniel, could you tell us a bit about yourself and why you started the app?
All right. I'm a software developer slash software developer freelancer with MetaDock, where you could have a split view. So you see different browsers side by side, and at the same time, you can log into the same websites multiple times. So, like for example, um, on Jira, I was able to have three different Jira accounts, no problem. Yeah, I mean that's the basics of it. Yeah.
Sure. So, what is this app used for? Like, and who is it targeting, really?
Right now, I'm not targeting anyone in particular. Who I'm looking at targeting in the future is probably social media marketers, like freelancers, that kind of thing. People who have like a lot of accounts from that they need to log into at the same time. So, for example, a social media marketer might have like one client with like a few Instagrams, a few YouTubes, a few this, a few that, and so just to manage that with Metadoc should be a lot easier for them.
Okay, so with over 25,000 downloads on Steam in just 6 months, right, it's quickly gained traction. So, what sets it apart from other disk management tools?
For one thing, it's a unified tool. So, for example, you could look at Power Toys, and Power Toys is kind of nice, but it doesn't give this abstraction where it's kind of like every window has a mind of its own and works in its own way. Whereas Meta tries to sort of put it in one box and kind of make them all the same, make it easier to deal with. So, like you can have workspaces where you save and restore stuff. I don't think you can do that with Power Toys, for example. Um, you can have multiple workspaces, so you can have like different sets of tools up at the same time, websites, apps, whatever you need to do. Yeah, just to clarify a bit that Metadoc supports apps as well, so you can actually mount, like, for example, Word and stuff like that inside Metadoc. Yeah, and actually some games. I've experimented with some. But yeah. Moving on. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Of course. So, I know within Metadoc there is like many different features such as like traders for like streamers and multitasking. So like how did you decide on like the features that meet the needs of varied users?
In some cases, I've had ideas that literally just come from a user that's like, I want to use it like this, and then what I'll do is like I'll go through a process and I'll vet whether they use even thing. But once I know it's worth doing and there's demand for it, then I can just do the work, get it done. And this has been a lot of feedback based features actually. So like, it would be nice if it had apps, for example, and that led to having apps, stuff like that.
Of course. So what advice would you give to other software developers if they're trying to start out on their journey?
Be careful with making deals with like non-technical people. Actually, yeah, specifically for technical founders, like be aware of your value, whatever that is. I can't speak and say everyone has the same value, but what I mean by that is there's a lot of founders that run into like people with ideas who aren't able to execute. So if you're offering development, make sure they have something to offer, whether that be like to counter your own. Otherwise, it's just this is really to counter founders that don't look enough into the other founders. Sometimes I don't know. It depends. Depends. Not to say not looking into that's the incorrect way of looking at it. To say founders that I don't know they get into. I've seen founders where they get like 10% out of a company and they did 90% of the work. It doesn't always make sense. That's really what I'm trying to cover for here. But I've seen everything. I've seen 50% where the other founder is great. So know your other founder. Create a relationship with this person. Realize it's like family. And try to vet like who's really worth your time and not. That's very important. And the sooner you do this, the sooner you actually don't waste time. For example, with a potential partner that doesn't fit your requirements enough. But yeah, so I went a little bit around there, but I hope that made sense.
Of course, of course. So, with sponsorships, have you had any sponsorships for MetaDock?
I didn't have any sponsorships. But I did sponsor the wine show, the Lions Tech Tips. This was last year. That's the reason I have so many downloads, basically. But
How did they impact your growth?
it helped quite a bit. It helped quite a bit. Yeah, no, I would say it helped for a good 6 months actually. So it was a very effective ad in that sense. Put all to that in terms of last year, moving into this year.
When did you figure out that you needed to do a sponsorship with someone?
It wasn't. It was just you know what, like in the startup game, I think like I was constantly like trying to figure out my next move to make some new growth. Um, I mean, what one of these things I was doing at the time was email marketing with as many influencers as I can, and trying to see what I can get. I just got lucky. I got my one of my number one picks, so I was really happy with getting Linus Tech Tips on the line, so to speak.
Okay. So, what do you think are like essential skills that a developer needs to become a successful entrepreneur like yourself?
Um, I mean, I still recommend experience over anything. Don't just like jump in. Get some actual experience at a real company or working for a startup. Just something that, like, I mean, I remember myself like 20 years ago, and essentially one thing I was doing is I was just jumping into projects and assuming that yeah I'm going to learn it the whole way through. But the fact is like nothing beats actual experience. In the field, actually doing something with a boss over your head, like it changed the dynamic a bit, but it helps help me understand development better. Um, that could also just as easily be a freelancer doing freelance. You need to be able to build it for someone else before you can build it for yourself. To some extent, it depends your skill level, depends distance, depends different things. But for the most part, I think that's what I say.
Okay. So, where do you see MetaDoc heading into the future?
Um, I'm actually looking at AI. Well, two things I'm looking at right now is AI, possibly like not so much as having something to talk to, but more like in Metadoc where you could be like, okay, I need you to do this and this. So, for example, open a new window, open an app, load this website, do this on this website. My use case for that is like I'm thinking of people who have accessibility issues. So, like someone who can only use the voice feature or they type very slow. Because like they're injured or whatever reason, right? And so the idea is that like having this AI thing where you can put a command in and it'll do something. So like you tell it what to do and it does it, and also working as an LLM as well. So an LLM, sorry, is a language model. So like a chat GPT inside Metadata.
Are there any specific updates or like new features that you're planning on rolling out?
Yeah, I mean, no, that's one of the things that I'm doing. I'm working on it, but it's just a slow process because it's complicated and I want to do it right. But yeah, I mean that's one thing. The other thing I was looking at is maybe IPTV support. So this would be like for people who subscribe to IPTV services. Yeah, so IPTV for anyone who doesn't know is just basically TV over the internet. There is providers for this. Yeah, depending on your country and your and the restrictions, there's many different providers internationally, as far as I understand. But anyway, moving on. But the AI thing is probably the next thing that's going to come out. So something where you could talk to Metadoc, tell it what to do, at the same time, should give you certain other additional features that doesn't currently have, like the ability to ask it questions about Metadoc itself and get answers.
Got you. Okay. So, what trends do you see, currently with like productivity tools that might relate to you?
I don't know. That really depends. I mean, I don't have any market awareness. To be honest, I don't have market awareness of what's going on in the productivity world. because it's not my niche currently. Not specifically what I'm going after.
What niche are you after then?
Like I was saying, social media marketers, specifically those who work in an agency or a freelancer.
Got you. Okay. Do you know that any trends that are coming up or that are affecting you in that space?
Not particularly, not right now. I mean, right now, this is like early marketing in terms of that. Yeah, this is just work in progress in terms of that. So,
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. So, how has networking impacted your business and helped it grow?
oh well, I mean, for the most part, I do like to spend time in some business networks. I'll mention low call and furlough on Discord, but I mean, for the most part, it's helped me learn about business. Actually, I mean, learn about how to improve my product from other people looking at it. See everything from a different lens. I mean, networking has been very helpful for me. Yeah.
All right. I know that you're responsible for both the technical side and like the business side. So, how do you balance these roles?
Currently, what I have to do is, work more for the business side actually than the technical side, because technical side has been overdone in the case of my product. So it's just about at this point, finding my market, my product market fit, and then so on, and just getting it out there enough. I mean, I feel like I made a huge push.
Of course, yeah. Out of just curiosity, what are some unexpected ways that users are using MetaDock?
Um, I mean, I saw someone who disables autosave. So one thing about MetaDoc is you have workspaces. Workspaces are like save layouts. Layout being like, let's just say you have four different browser windows open. Um, anyhow, so I saw someone who now normally autosave is enabled, so any change you make to your layout is saved, right? So you close a window, you reload it, you get three windows instead of four, for example. Um, so with this person, what they did is they disabled autosave entirely. They made perfect layouts, and then whatever they wanted to get rid of, they got rid of. And then if they didn't like it, they just reloaded it. I was kind of surprised by that. It's kind of reverse thinking in my mind, but it's not terrible.
Oh wow. Okay. So how do you like gather feedback from users?
Um, for the most part, I mean, I actually created a feedback tool and no one used it. I prompted user for feedback every once in a while. I never got anything. So, I mean, at this point, I'm at the point where I'm getting Discord messages and people who directly wanted something, and sometimes I've actually read stuff in reviews that helped me. Like, no, I did have a Steam review that I turned into a feature, or more like a bug fix, but yeah, something like that.
Okay. What would you say is like the most difficult part about scaling a software product?
Um, Well, that depends whose shoes you're in, right? So if I was a marketer, a business marketer, I think it'd be very easy to do the marketing side. So it becomes a two-sided problem. You need the business side, you need the sales side, you need everything else, and then the other side you need a technical side. So I'm myself being mainly proficient in the technical. I find myself having to learn a lot of stuff from scratch. Uh, I mean, over the last 3 years, I'm going to say, but yeah, there's lots of things.
What did you need to learn?
All kinds of stuff like how to sell, how to talk to somebody, what works and what doesn't work. Like, for example, email marketing. Do you send a huge, super detailed email about how your product is the most amazing thing, or do you send them a small email saying, "Hey, here's some small info about my product, maybe a video if you have the time for it, and then send it down, send it over, and then that like the success rate between these two things is like 1,000% difference. For example.
Of course. And with MetaDoc, are you working on this alone or do you have other founders and people that have helped you out along the journey?
A lot of people have helped me along the way, but I call them mostly users of MetaDoc. And no, it's a solo project.
Got you. Okay. Do you have any comments or anything that you want to say?
No, I think I'm okay. No, I think I'm okay.
Okay, perfect. So I think that should wrap things up.